You're replaceable. Don't forget that, Derek said, leaning back in his leather chair with that smug grin I'd seen 1,000 times before. I smiled, nodded, said nothing. I mean it, he continued, gesturing toward the door like I was already dismissed. We've got 50 resumes from people who'd kill for your position. So maybe think twice before asking for special treatment again. Special treatment. That's what he called requesting 2 days off for my daughter's school play after working 70-hour weeks for 3 months straight. I stood up, still smiling. Understood. Thanks for your time. I walked out of his office, past the rows of cubicles where my coworkers kept their heads down, and straight to my desk. Grabbed my jacket, shut down my computer, and left. It was 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I'd never left early in 8 years. Here's what you need to know. I'm 38, divorced, father to a 10-year-old girl named Chloe who I see every other week. I worked as a senior software architect at a mid-sized tech firm in Seattle. Not glamorous, not terrible, just a job that paid well enough to cover child support, rent, and the occasional weekend trip with my daughter. I'd been with the company since it was a startup operating out of a garage. Watched it grow from 6 people to over 200. I'd built half their core infrastructure myself. Worked weekends, missed birthdays, skipped vacations. The whole loyal employee package. Derek had been CEO for 2 years. Hired from outside. MBA from some Ivy League school, zero technical knowledge, infinite confidence. And now I was replaceable. The drive home was quiet. I didn't turn on the radio. Just drove, hands at 10 and 2, watching the city blur past. My phone buzzed. Text from my ex-wife, Melissa. Chloe wants to know if you're coming Thursday. It's important to her. Thursday, the school play. The whole reason I'd asked Derek for time off. I replied, I'll be there. Front row. She sent back a thumbs up. No questions about work, no small talk. We'd been divorced for 4 years and had perfected the art of efficient co-parenting communication. I pulled into my apartment complex, climbed 3 flights of stairs, and unlocked my door to the same quiet, empty space I'd come home to every night for the past year. Sat down at my kitchen table, opened my laptop, started typing. By midnight, I had a resignation letter drafted. Professional, courteous, 2 weeks notice as per my contract. No emotion, no explanation beyond pursuing other opportunities. But I didn't send it. Instead, I opened a different folder. One I'd been building for 6 months without really knowing why. Call it insurance. Call it paranoia. Call it whatever you want. Inside were copies of everything. Project documentation I'd written. Code repositories. Email chains showing decisions made by Derek that I'd advised against. Budget spreadsheets with discrepancies. Nothing illegal on my part, just detailed records of how things actually worked versus how they were reported to the board. I'd started keeping these files after Derek had thrown me under the bus during a client meeting, blaming me for a delay that was entirely due to his decision to cut the development timeline in half. I'd said nothing then too, just smiled and took the hit. I spent 3 hours organizing everything into a clean, indexed archive. Then I encrypted it and backed it up in 3 different locations. Tomorrow was Wednesday. I'd work my normal day, smile at Derek in the hallway, attend the team meeting, act like nothing had changed. Because nothing had. Not yet. Wednesday morning, I arrived at 8:30 a.m. sharp. Coffee in hand, shirt pressed, game face on. My coworker Pete stopped by my desk around 9. Dude, you okay? I heard you left early yesterday. Yeah, just had a headache. I'm good. He lowered his voice. Derek was being a dick again, wasn't he? I shrugged. Derek's gonna Derek. Pete shook his head. I don't know how you put up with it. Guy treats you like garbage and you just take it. Pick your battles, I said, turning back to my screen. What Pete didn't know, what nobody knew, was that I'd spent the entire morning setting up something beautiful. A detailed transition document. Every project I was working on, every system I maintained, every password and access credential, and tribal knowledge that lived only in my head. Organized, labeled, ready to hand off. See, I'm not replaceable because I'm special. I'm replaceable because I'm professional enough to make myself replaceable. That's how you do this job right. But professional doesn't mean stupid. At 10 a.m., I had a team meeting. Derek wasn't there, thankfully, but our CTO, Greg, was. Greg was one of the originals, a good guy who'd been sidelined by Derek's restructuring, but still held enough equity to have a board seat. After the meeting, I caught him in the hallway. Hey Greg, you got a minute? Sure, what's up? Just wanted to give you a heads up. I'm probably going to be transitioning out soon. Wanted to make sure I leave everything in good shape. His face went from relaxed to concerned in half a second. Wait, what? You're leaving? Looking at options. Nothing definite yet. Just wanted you to know first. Is this about Derek? Because I've heard. It's not about anyone, I interrupted gently. Just time for a change. I'll make sure there's zero disruption. Full documentation, knowledge transfer, the works. Greg ran a hand through his hair. Man, okay. Let's talk more about this. Can we grab lunch tomorrow? Can't tomorrow. Family thing. How about Friday? Friday works. But hey, seriously, if there's anything I can do. I appreciate it, Greg. Really. I walked away before he could press further. Thursday morning, I sent my resignation email at 7 a.m. to Derek, CC'd to HR and Greg. Short, professional, effective immediately with 2 weeks' notice to conclude on the 31st. Then I turned off my phone and drove to Chloe's school. The play was at 1 p.m. I got there at noon, claimed my front row seat, and waited. Melissa showed up at 12:45 with her new husband, Trevor. We exchanged polite nods. They sat 3 rows back. Chloe was incredible. She played a talking tree in some environmental awareness musical the 4th graders had written themselves. She had maybe 7 lines, but she delivered each one with this fierce concentration that made my chest tight. When it was over, I waited outside her classroom. She came running out, still in her tree costume, face lit up like Christmas. Dad, you came. Of course I came. You were amazing. You really think so? Best tree I've ever seen. Tony, award-worthy. She giggled and hugged me, and for about 10 seconds, nothing else mattered. Melissa walked up with Trevor. That was great, sweetie, she said to Chloe, then to me. Thanks for making it. Wouldn't miss it. Awkward silence. Trevor filled it. We're taking her for ice cream. You want to join? It was a peace offering. Trevor was good like that. I appreciated him more than I'd ever tell him. Rain check. I've got some things to handle. But Chloe, I'll see you Saturday, right? Saturday. We're going to the aquarium. That's right. Love you, kiddo. Love you too, Dad. I watched them walk away, Chloe between them, still wearing half her costume. Then I turned my phone back on. 73 notifications. 40 missed calls. 32 emails. 1 voicemail from Derek that I deleted without listening to. The emails range from confused, Pete, bro, what's going on? To panicked, HR, we need to discuss this immediately. To angry, Derek, this is completely unprofessional and we need to talk now. One stood out. From Greg, sent 20 minutes ago. Emergency board meeting called for tomorrow 9 a.m. Derek is losing his mind. Please call me. I didn't call. Instead, I drove home, changed into comfortable clothes, and made myself dinner. Pasta with garlic bread. Watched half a movie. Went to bed at 10. Slept like a baby. Friday morning, 8 a.m. I was sitting in a coffee shop 3 blocks from the office when my phone rang. Greg. I answered. Morning. Where are you? Derek's been trying to reach you since yesterday. I know. I've been busy. Look, I need you to come in. Just for a meeting. The board wants to talk. I'm on PTO today, using some of my banked vacation time. We need to discuss your resignation. Nothing to discuss. I gave 2 weeks' notice. I'll be back Monday to start the transition. Silence. Then, he told the board you walked out. That you abandoned critical projects. I took a sip of my coffee. That's interesting. Since I left on Tuesday at 2:47 p.m. after being told I was replaceable, then worked a full day Wednesday, then submitted my resignation Thursday morning per company policy. I'd hardly call that abandoning anything. He's telling them you're holding the infrastructure hostage, that you have knowledge nobody else has and you're deliberately withholding it. That's definitely not true. I've been building transition documentation for months. It's all in the shared drive, organized by project. I sent you the link Wednesday morning, remember? Time-stamped and everything. Another pause. You planned this. I plan to leave professionally, which I'm doing. Derek wants to fire you. Immediately. No notice period. He can't. I already resigned. But if he wants to accept my resignation effective immediately and pay me for the 2 weeks, I'm happy with that arrangement. I'll even send over the rest of my documentation today as a courtesy. I heard muffled voices in the background. Greg was covering the phone, talking to someone. He came back on. The board wants to meet with you. Today, they're willing to discuss options. What kind of options? Stay on as a consultant. Or extended transition period. Maybe even counteroffer to stay. Now it was my turn to pause. After Derek told me I was replaceable? After he denied me 2 days off to see my daughter's school play? After 2 years of being disrespected and undervalued? What exactly would make me want to stay, Greg? I hear you. I do. But think about the team. About Pete and the others. This doesn't just hurt Derek. He wasn't wrong. I like my coworkers. Most of them, anyway. I'll come in Monday as planned. I'll do a professional transition. But I'm not interested in counteroffers or consulting contracts. I'm done. Can you at least talk to them? Just a conversation. I thought about it. About Chloe's face when I showed up to her play. About the 70-hour weeks I'd never get back. About Derek's smug grin. Fine. I'll come in. One meeting. But I'm not changing my mind. I showed up at 10 a.m. The board meeting had apparently ended, but Greg was waiting in a conference room with 2 board members I recognized and 1 lawyer I didn't. No Derek. He's been asked to step out for this conversation. One of the board members, Patricia, explained. She was in her 50s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. We wanted to hear your side directly. I sat down. My side is pretty simple. I resigned. Professionally. With notice. That's it. Derek claims you've been insubordinate for months. That you've undermined his authority and hoarded information. I almost laughed. I can provide documentation that disputes every part of that. But honestly, it doesn't matter. I'm leaving either way. The lawyer leaned forward. We're prepared to offer a separation package. 6 months salary, benefits continuation, and a neutral reference in exchange for a non-disparagement agreement. You want to pay me to not talk about why I'm leaving? We want to ensure a clean transition that's beneficial for everyone. I looked at Greg. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Here's my counter. I said, you pay me for my 2 weeks as planned. I do a thorough transition, and I don't sign anything that prevents me from speaking honestly about my experience if asked. I won't badmouth the company publicly, but I won't lie either. Patricia frowned. That's not really acceptable. Then we have a problem, because I'm not signing away my integrity for 6 months' salary. I'll walk out right now if that's the only option. The room got quiet. The lawyer whispered something to Patricia. She nodded. What would keep you here? Hypothetically. I shook my head. Nothing. Not more money. Not a better title. Not promises of change. I've seen how this company operates now. I'm not interested. Even if Derek was no longer in the picture, that caught me off guard. What? Patricia exchanged looks with the other board member. Let's just say certain leadership decisions are being reviewed. If the environment changed significantly, would you reconsider? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I finally said. Because even if Derek left tomorrow, I'd always know I was only valued once I threatened to leave. That's not a foundation I want to build on. I deserve better than that. My daughter deserves a father who knows his worth. Greg finally spoke. I tried to warn them. About Derek. About how he was treating people. Nobody listened. Patricia looked uncomfortable. We're listening now. 2 years too late, I said, standing up. I'll be here Monday to start the transition. I'll be professional and thorough. But after my 2 weeks, I'm gone. No negotiations. I walked out before anyone could respond. The weekend with Chloe was perfect. The aquarium, then pizza, then a movie at my apartment where she fell asleep on the couch and I carried her to the guest bed that was basically hers now. Saturday night, after she was asleep, I checked my email. One from Greg. Derek has been placed on administrative leave pending an internal review. Board wants to discuss restructuring. Call me. I deleted it. One from a recruiter I'd spoken to 6 months ago. Saw on LinkedIn you might be available. We have 3 positions that would be perfect for you. Interested? I replied. Very interested. Let's talk Monday. Sunday morning, Chloe and I made pancakes. She told me about school, about her friends, about the boy who pulled her hair at recess. What did you do? I asked. Told the teacher. She made him apologize. Good. You don't have to put up with people treating you badly. Even if they say sorry later, you remember how they made you feel. Okay. She nodded seriously. Okay, Dad. Smart kid. Smarter than her old man, that's for sure. Monday morning, I arrived at 9 a.m. to find my desk had been moved to a better location, near the windows, with a new chair. Pete was waiting. Dude, Derek's gone. Like, actually gone. They fired him Friday afternoon. I heard. And they're asking everyone about work environment stuff. HR's doing interviews. It's crazy. I sat down at my new desk, opened my laptop, started working on the transition documentation. At 10, Greg stopped by. Got a minute? We walked to the conference room. Patricia was there, along with the other board members. We want to make you an offer, Patricia said. CTO position. Derek's salary plus 20%. Full autonomy over technical decisions. And a formal apology for how you've been treated. I looked at the contract they slid across the table. The numbers were good. Really good. I appreciate this, I said. I really do. But I'm still leaving. Why? We're giving you everything you asked for. I didn't ask for anything. That's the point. I shouldn't have to quit to be respected. I shouldn't have to threaten to leave to be valued. That's not the relationship I want with my employer. Greg spoke up. What if we could guarantee things would be different? New leadership training, clear HR policies, regular feedback systems. That's great for whoever you hire to replace me. And I genuinely hope you do all that. But I'm done. Patricia looked frustrated. You're being unreasonable. Maybe. Or maybe I'm finally being reasonable about what I deserve. My daughter deserves a father who doesn't work 70-hour weeks, who doesn't miss school plays, who doesn't come home so tired he can barely function. I've given this company 8 years. I'm giving myself the next chapter. I stood up, pushed the contract back across the table. I'll finish my 2 weeks. I'll make sure everything's documented and transferred. And then I'm going to take a month off, spend time with my daughter, and figure out what I actually want to do with my life. Maybe that's another tech job. Maybe it's something completely different. But it'll be my choice, not a reaction to being told I'm replaceable. My last day was quiet. No big send-off, no cake in the break room. Just a professional handoff to the guy they'd hired to take over my projects. Nice enough kid, fresh out of college, eager to prove himself. I gave him my cell number. Call if you get stuck. I'll help for the first month, no charge. Really? Thanks, man. Pay it forward someday. At 5 p.m., I packed up my desk. Personal photos, coffee mug, the plant I'd kept alive for 4 years against all odds. Pete walked me to the elevator. This sucks, dude. It won't be the same without you. You'll be fine. Better than fine. And hey, if they start treating you like they treated me, promise me you'll leave. I promise. We shook hands. The elevator doors closed. I walked out into the Seattle rain, got in my car, and drove home. No regrets. No looking back. Just forward. 2 months later, I'm consulting independently. 3 clients, flexible hours, better pay than my old job. I picked Chloe up from school twice a week. Made it to her soccer games, her parent-teacher conferences, her birthday party where she introduced me to her friends as my dad who works from home now. Last week, I got an email from Greg. The company had implemented all the changes they'd promised. New CEO, better culture, people were happy. We'd still love to have you back, he wrote. Doors always open. I replied, I'm glad things are better, but I'm exactly where I need to be. Take care of yourself. Because here's what I learned. You're not replaceable. None of us are. We're all unique combinations of skills, experiences, and perspectives. But more importantly, you shouldn't have to prove that to people who don't value you. Derek was right about one thing. I was replaceable at that company. But that company was also replaceable to me. And I replaced it with something better. Sometimes the best revenge isn't making them regret losing you. It's building a life so good you forget why you ever wanted their approval in the first place. I'm there now, and it feels incredible.